Oh. With the signing of Neymar, Puma have drawn a ton of new attention to the brand, and honestly the timing couldn't be better because at the moment, they're making some phenomenal football boots. And inside these boxes, I have 4 of their latest boots in 2 of their latest colorway packs. From the Turbo Pack, the luminous pink and black Puma Future 6.1, which as you can see is very pink. The Turbo Pack colorway of the Puma Ultra 1.1, which I think looks a lot better in person and is a significant improvement over the launch orange colorway that I quite frankly wasn't that crazy about. The Fear Pack Puma Ultra 1.1 released on Halloween Day exclusively in Europe in limited quantities, a colorway that not only looks fantastic but also looks like they were made for the Joker. And the Fear Pack Puma Future 6.1, which as you can see has eyes all over it. This is a football boot for players with vision. I know a lot of the attention has been focused around the King Platinum because obviously those are the boots that Neymar is actually wearing, but there's an argument to be made, depending on your personal preferences of course, that the King Platinum is the 3rd place boot within the Puma brand because the Future 6.1, which is a very slight refresh over the 5.1, and the Ultra 1.1, which is arguably the best speed boot on the market right now, are 2 very good options that you should definitely consider if you have some newfound interest in Puma, or Puma. Why does the internet care so deeply about how I say Puma? Now, I recently put up a video where I compared Puma's entire lineup, so if you're interested in just learning more about the brand in its entirety and getting as much detail as possible as far as how the boots differ from each other, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, go ahead and check that out. But in this video, I wanted to focus on taking a closer look at these brand new colorways that all look very good, and just highlighting some key features about both the Future and the Ultra 1.1, because they aren't getting quite as much attention as the King. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review, and if you're interested in any of these boots for yourself, you can click the first link down below. There's actually going to be 2 links down below, one for the Future, one for the Ultra. That'll take you to the review pages on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick up either of these boots or any of these 4 below their normal retail prices. If you guys do end up enjoying this video and perhaps want to see more reviews where I include multiple football boots rather than just focusing on just one, make sure you support this one with a like. And if you are new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on weekly content on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So we'll start with the Turbo Pack because these are the colorways that pros are actually going to be wearing, where you'll see that the Puma Ultra is the least flashy of the 4 boots we'll be looking at in this video. It features a black base to the Matrix Evo upper with white Puma highlights on the medial side as well as here on the lateral side. Then you can see as an accent, you have a combination of pink as well as purple. And then there's some other colors, a little bit of white, some yellow in there, some grays as well. Those are like the proprietary yarns that make up the construction of this upper that are always those colors on any colorway of the Puma Ultra. So the black, pink, and purple are the main actual color choices within the upper itself. I will say that they're a little bit flashier in person than they maybe look in pictures, where they look a lot more kind of dark all the way through. I'm still not in love with the colorway, I'll be totally honest with you guys, but now that I've seen kind of some yarn in different accent colors against the black base, I think a black base with like neon green as an accent would look like a pair of football boots kind of like themed off of the Matrix movie. I think that would be very cool looking. Let me know your opinions on that. But then you can see on the sole plate as well, you do have a partially wearable finish where this very glossy pink area in the forefoot is just painted on the surface that will chip away as you wear it in. And then underneath, I'm going to presume that it is kind of this satin black plastic finish like you have through the midfoot and heel. Nonetheless, a much better looking colorway than the launch. And then the Futures from the Turbo Pack are significantly more flashy, being in this luminous pink color pretty much all the way through, with just black accents in the form of the little details within the knitted upper, and then of course your Puma branding. I'm a really big fan of the logo as well as the Future logo on the back of the collar, which is actually knitted into the structure. It's a very premium look. You have the little black accents within the pink laces as well. And then the sole plate is pretty cool in that it's black in color, which obviously gives it some nice contrast. It has this pattern, which I'm not exactly sure what you would call that, but it's pink in color, but it's a translucent plastic sole plate. All of the pattern is actually on the underside, so you get this cool look without it actually being a wearable finish, which I'm not sure why more brands don't do this more often. Nonetheless, very cool looking boots. I've always a big fan of pink football boots, but I'm not necessarily a big fan of actually playing in pink boots. So this to me is one of the better Future colorways. that I personally probably wouldn't wear. But if you like pink boots, you'll probably love these. Moving to the limited edition Fear Pack, the Ultra 1.1, like I said, looks like something designed for the Joker. It would have been really cool to have seen some subtle red accents put in somewhere, and I suppose you could put some red SR4U laces available at sr4ulaces.com. I may or may not do that later in the video, but they're just really cool looking football boots. I love the combination of the purple, black, and neon green on the upper, but then the sole plate with its wearable finish that I just said I'm not a huge fan of looks crazy. It's like a purple base with this crackle in neon green, almost like the paint has aged and is starting to chip away. They're obviously going for some kind of a creepy vibe, but it just looks really, really cool, and it spans the entire bottom of the football boot as well as the heel counter. Just a really nice accent. You'll also notice in the Fear Pack theme, the Puma branding on the medial side has these little tears running through it, again, to match the Halloween vibe. And then you'll see on the insole, it does actually have the eyeball, which you'll find on the Future. All over the place. It's literally covered in eyeballs. Out of all the boots in this video, this is the one that I'm curious to hear your opinions on the most, because it is certainly one of the more unusual colorways, not just of 2020, but honestly ever. And we've seen eyes on football boots before, but this just takes it to a new extreme. Although I do really appreciate the fact that the eye design itself is within the construction of the knitted upper. So it looks very premium in that regard. And then the sole plate also has a wearable finish with a similar crackle pattern as what you find on the Ultras. I personally think that the finish of the Ultras would have looked really cool on this sole plate as well, but this one has kind of like a light purple base with a black overlay that of course is crackled, so you can see the purple on the underside. The sole plate I'm not as big a fan of as the rest of the boot, but in general, if you're looking for a weird colorway, this is about as weird as they come. As for the performance side of things, if you're not interested in jumping on the Puma King Platinum bandwagon, but you're still interested in the Puma brand, should you buy the Ultra or should you buy the Future? And quite honestly, there's no bad choice between these two, but I would say that the main reason why you would buy these is based on these two classifications: speed and comfort. In my opinion, the Puma Ultra is the best speed boot that Puma has ever made. In terms of what it has on offer versus its competition, what it does better than anything else at the moment is being super lightweight. In a size 9.5 US, these are sub 6 ounces, which is significantly lighter than pretty much anything else you can buy, but without sacrificing structure, and I think even more importantly, comfort. These are very comfortable football boots. The Matrix Evo is largely responsible for that, which is this knitted kind of textile upper made up of various yarns, kind of a similar concept to what we currently have with the Flyknit High Tenacity yarn combo of the Mercurial Vapor and Superfly series, but a little bit thinner, a little bit more raw, maybe not quite as soft feeling, but if you just like that thin barefoot sensation, but still the flexibility and somewhat sock-like sensation that only a knitted material can provide, there's a lot to like about this Matrix Evo upper. There are a lot of concerns, however, in regards to the lacing system, which you can see the laces are attached by way of lace loops that are made up of these tiny little yarns kind of all next to each other where you just loop the laces through. People are concerned about those yarns ripping if you get stepped on. It's definitely a possibility. I've not experienced it myself. I've yet to see any pictures of anybody with ripped lace loops. I'm sure people will leave their feedback down below in the comment section if it has happened, but as far as I'm aware and based on what I've personally experienced, it is not a widespread issue, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then the sole plate and stud pattern, it's kind of a variation of what we used to see on the F50 Addy Zero, with a stud pattern that's kind of a variation of what we've been seeing on the Mercurial series for a little while now. It's got some good spring back effect to it through the forefoot. It's got good rigidity through the heel and midfoot. It is also technically branded as FGAG. Technically all of Puma's boots are right now. This I don't think is the best stud pattern for use on artificial grass. I think the studs are maybe a little bit too long, and the chevron blades I think dig in a little bit too much. It's a little clingy for my liking. Not necessarily the safest thing in the world, but if you do play on artificial grass with FG Mercurials right now and you're not having any problems with that, you should be okay with this stud pattern as well. Although again, for AG, it's not my personal favorite, but in terms of overall performance when it comes to traction, especially on natural grass, this is fantastic. And then as for the Future 6.1, I don't think it's quite as impressive when it comes to objective performance characteristics, but what it does do extremely well is just be very comfortable on your feet, which is an underrated feature of football boots of any kind. People seem to disregard that in favor of technology that may or may not actually hinder the comfort of the football boots. And as far as knitted uppers go, this is definitely the most padded out of pretty much everything out there. Certainly the options from the big brands. It has a super nice kind of softness to it. It moves very nicely with your feet. And I think with knitted uppers, when they were first introduced, it was always this claim that they were going to feel like socks on your feet. And I feel like knitted uppers in general have kind of gotten away from that to a certain extent. This is the most sock-like feeling upper you can buy right now. And if I had to compare it to past models from any brand, it actually reminds me the most of the upper found on the OG Nike Magista Ober 1, which obviously a lot of people were big fans of. This is maybe slightly more padded than that though. Also, the shape and volume is a little bit wider, a little bit higher volume. So if you don't like your boots squeezing your feet too much, these will definitely be very comfortable for you in that regard. It is a Future, so it does have a net fit system, which means that you can sort of play around with the laces to have them grab a little bit lower on the upper, make for a slightly tighter fit. It's something to play around with once you actually have the boots on your feet. But in general, the net fit system has been watered down to the point where I don't think it's as effective as it once was. A lot of questions as well about the Future 6.1, which is what this is. It recently replaced the 5.1, but looks pretty much identical. There is one single change that they've made, and it comes inside the boot in the form of the insole, where you'll see that it's still physically the same insole in terms of the foams used, a red foam with perforated yellow foam inserts in the heel and forefoot, but it does feature their new Nano Grip liner, which is of course for better grip to prevent your foot from sliding around inside of the boots. It's the same liner you'll find on the Puma Ultra as well. I really like it. And it's a very subtle improvement that's probably not worth the extra money if you can find a Future 5.1 on sale. And then as for the sole plate and stud pattern, it's the same as it's always been for like 6 or 7 generations of the Puma Future now. It's got decent flexibility to it. I think it feels nice and solid underfoot. And then the FG-AG stud pattern features predominantly conical studs, but they're very long and narrow in profile, which means that they dig into the ground and provide more aggressive traction than I think you'd predict rounded studs to provide. But again, as an FG-AG option, I think it's great on firm natural grass, especially if the pitch is a little bit softer due to the extra length that they're giving you. But on artificial grass, I don't think it's overly clingy, but I do think the studs are a little bit too long, and it could potentially lead to issues with discomfort, instability, and maybe even things like stud pressure down the line as the sole plate breaks down a little bit. So something to keep in mind. But in terms of overall performance, while it's not groundbreaking, it is pretty good. So here's a look at the Turbo Pack colorways on feet paired with some black Pure Grip socks, which is my own brand of grip socks. They're just $14.99 a pair, available currently in 9 different colorways, but more colorways are on the way for those that have been asking at puregripsocks.com. Link down below if you're interested. But of course, there is a stark contrast between these two boots in terms of color. The Futures are extremely vibrant, being mostly pink, where the Ultras obviously don't stick out nearly as much. They're black with some pink accents, but in terms of feel on feet, they're quite a bit different despite both being knitted uppers, where the Future just has a much softer, more padded feel to the upper. And of course, the Ultra is significantly more raw with its Matrix Evo construction. Nonetheless, they're both very comfortable boots, all things considered, even with the weight difference between the two. The Ultras, for me, I think what's most impressive about them is how comfortable they are while also being super lightweight, and they're structurally very sound. This Matrix Evo upper is very impressive in terms of moving nicely with your foot, but still providing plenty of structure when pushing off to give you this nice locked-in responsive feel. In terms of width and volume, while the Future is definitely a little bit wider and has a little bit more volume to it, the Ultra doesn't feel like it's too far off when you have them side by side. So if you did have wider feet in general, I don't think either of these boots would necessarily be a bad option for you. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing both the Future as well as the Ultras in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So regardless of which option you go for, I would definitely recommend going true to size. And then here's a look at the Fear Pack boots on feet, where all of the advice I just shared still applies to these colorways. These are just a little bit cooler and or weirder looking depending on what your opinion is. I'm a really big fan of the Ultra. I think this is a phenomenal colorway by Puma. The Future is obviously more on the obscure side with the eyeballs all over the place, but honestly, every single day it's growing on me more and more. And as weird as they are, I would probably rather wear these than the all pink Futures. Maybe that's a little bit weird, but that's my general opinion. Nonetheless, these Fear Pack colorways, very cool. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in either the Ultra or the Futures, you can click the links down below in the description of this video. Those are gonna take you to the review pages on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these boots up below their normal retail prices. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.